The marimba is also known as the piano of the jungle. It means joy, it means sadness also. It can be a combination between cultures. The origin of the marimba, people say that it's far away from here, but it is still here. This speech is going to be so important because we are here with the protagonists of this documentary, The Journey of the Marimba, El Viaje de la Marimba. So here we are, the people involved in this journey, that the marimba has done in 3 continents. The footage you're going to watch, it's a footage that shows how the journey of the marimba let me introduce Hugo Candelario, Marino Ward, Carolina Dosman, the producer, Andres Morales, the director of the photography, and a musical group, Bahia. And also we have Ciro Silva here. Welcome everybody. Who is GB Diabate? Nowadays I can say that he's a friend, he's a brother. In this moment, connection is the Viaje a la Marimba, and Jimmy Diabate is a musician from Senegal, and he has the heritage of the wisdom of the music. He's the representative of the last generation of that place. He's a great musician. When you are about to watch, when you're watching the documentary, you can also see him. How did the story begin? How did the story shows that past, that history? We want to know about that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Señal Colombia. Thank you, Secretaría de la Cultura. Thanks to them, thanks to those efforts, we are here. The story is from like 20 years ago. We used to make a TV show in Telepacifico. We started there. We started thinking about a documentary that it was going to be called The Viaje a la Marimba, The Journey of the Marimba. At the beginning, the objective was to try to check what was the origin of this instrument, and we search history, we search footage. The project was like sleep. It was like there for many time, but since 2 years ago, when I came back to the canal, when I just came back to the canal, to the channel, sorry. Thanks to a space that we get in the channel, we had the opportunity. The manager of the channel, he told us about the projects. He proposed the projects also. And then I thought, why not? Why not this? No? This little project with a little bit of I was a little scared, but those efforts, I repeat, those efforts from those companies, La Universidad de los Artes in Mexico. There were a lot of groups involved in this. And so, Carolina, during 1 year, you were making the film. So 2 years, no, to organize again, to take the idea again, to take the idea back. Thanks again to all the a year that has been wonderful. I think that when we're about to record, we are like a family, and every time that we see each other, we talk about the project, we talk about the objective, the results. It's like having a child with us, and then every time that the marimba is on, every time that the instrument has its relevance, we are there, we are trying to give its importance. And the Viaje a la Marimba has also, the Viaje a la Marimba has also found the way to get those connections that we would like, or we would have liked to get. We also talked to people who really like to be into those projects. It's a project that involves your soul, your love for the art, love for the visual arts. This is the product of the love in the love that we have in community, that we create community. Andres, let's talk about this trip, this journey. So you are a specialist in communication. What about that? Tell me your ideas. It's kind of weird, you know. Journeys, the journeys in this project have been deep. No, we are always working hard all the time. All the time we're trying to have everything ready. What about the camera? What is the position of the camera? What is the best way to tell about the story? We have to think about the spaces. We have to think about the weather. So everything that we do is we do it around the project. And well, the most important is to tell a story, a very important story. I think that we are blessed, that we are blessed. It's a pleasure to shoot, you know, the camera, and go beyond what probably the camera can't, but it's kind of a dichotomy, no, or paradoxical, but it's like that. I think that we travel deep inside us and all the time. So we have our own journey, what is happening to me, what it's my life about, and it's so nice to be here, and I would like a new project, and I would like to do a new project. Why? What about the theory that the marimba was here before the slavery, before the slavery came here? Well, I don't have exactly those dates, but the marimba centroamericana from Central America, people say that they are older than the ones that we know now. Yeah, probably it was brought, the marimba was brought from Africans. And when I went to a festival, the Cuarto Festival, the fourth festival of the marimba, the poster of the festival, the marimba for Mexico, for the acceptance of the origin of the marimba africana in America. But we don't have so much information about that origin. Marino. So the journey of the marimba tries to explain or to tell us about the origin of the marimba. Well, I think that was the objective of the documentary, but now I think but now I think it's interesting, but it's complex. The idea of describing the film has a lot of words to say because there are a lot of information. There is a lot of data that we basically don't know much about. But the instrument and the process has been transformed into music, no? Into perspectives from people. 30 years ago, for example, Hugo brought this instrument, and that was a little bit different from the one or from the sound that we knew before. We found, for example, a band of jazz that we met in New York. That was like the journey. Let's see that the journey just started, and wants to keep going. Wants to have some dynamic in the same journey. It also a journey who goes deep in people's life, how we can resist, how can how we can be nostalgic sometimes. So the objective at the end is a journey in time, but also is a journey into humanity. I think the marimba, the balafon, the forms of that technology let us see how we present the instrument in different forms, and that is unique. It is unique from the culture, from the ancestral culture. Carolina, well, according to what Marino just said, how did you collect all the footage, all the material for the documentary? Well, we have a partner, Maria Camila Carvajal. She's in charge of the search, well, with us, of course. We have searched in different platform, online platform, websites, libraries, files. From Cali, we went to libraries from Cali. The most beautiful of our documentary is the support from academia. There are a lot of teachers who are researchers, and from their fields, they help us a lot. In Ecuador, we have a guy. The same happened in Mexico when we talked about the Professor Israel Moreno. So every time that we go to those places, we do obviously something previously, but also we go to every place, and we like to go to the root of those places. And also an institution is the IPC. They have an archive from 60s footage. They have footage, they have music, and they have helped us a lot with the documentary. Andres, you are the director. How do you feel directing photography director? No, it's important. Well, the work is so good, it's so nice. And we have worked well, we have worked into documentaries with Marino. So it's a nice and cool job. We always talk about suggestions, recommendations. We always respect each other, you know, in that interaction between the director and the rest of the team. And then we just you know, like put the ideas apart, the ideas that we don't, you know, we are not interested in taking during the documentary. But anyway, after two important documentaries, yeah, we can get a flow, you know, and we overcome many things, and we work so good. We work together, and we have a good relationship. And well, yeah. I'm at home, for example, and I'm looking, I don't know, for some things, and I immediately, you know, tell him about, you know, what I just discovered. So we are connected all the time. So you know what Marino likes, obviously.
Yo lo decía y es como que estamos aquí en base, con base mejor, hacia este instrumento que es la marimba.
Well, we are here because of the marimba. So
Escucha una marimba,
we want to know what the difference between marimbas. For example, the marimba from the Pacifico, from our Pacifico, is different from the marimba of some other places. So, what is the difference? For example, that kind of syncopa, what does that mean? Well, there are some characteristics very evident. The characteristics are very evident, and it has to be with the with the mixture of cultures. So, well, the marimba doesn't sound the same because of the material, because of the chonta, which is the wood, the type of wood. And but the key definitely is but if it's come from Africa, it is better, but in the indigenous system, the marimba, it's less syncopa, so the time is different, it is faster. The bambuco and the cululao, for example, in Cauca or Nariño, it is slower than the Nariño and Ecuador. So, the miscegenation, it's kind of so important in that sound. Okay. For example, the patacore. Well, I think that it's better to play. We can see it better. Well, what I really want, we're talking about the geographic position, the journey of the marimba according to the geographical position. So if you go to the south, so there are some sounds that definitely don't sound the same. And if you go, you know, lower in geography, again, so and the relationship of the difference can be also related with the environment. So let's see how we are going to see the difference. We're going to see the difference in those sounds. So if you need the microphone, well, I can go with the microphone. For example, a simple explanation. Okay, we received from Africa the base of the rhythm. So we can see it in the Caribbean coast because the indigenous are not there. So that's the.
Golpe más fuerte.
When that rhythm came from America, so that encounter between black people and indigenous people, the fusion, the that fusion, that sound, ran can. Okay, that's the indigenous sound. That's the indigenous sound, and that's African sound. Indigenous sound. Well, we say it in a separate ways, but it's in fact now a fusion. Well, the same. Well, that's the matrix. That's our matrix. We have it in the marimba. Look, listen better. Well, that matrix is already, melted. That's Africa in America. That's the result. That is not something invented. So when that matrix stays or enters to the Pacific, well, it's just the marimba, the drums, and the voices. So let me show you how it sounds. That's a sample. It's a sample. Well, it's bambuco encurrulado. It's a sample of bambuco encurrulado. That's not. Bambuco is an African word, so that's so important for the audience because we think that the bambuco is our music from the interior of the country, but it's from the Pacific coast, or it was born in the Pacific coast and was born in Africa. Well, a very well, you see, it's faster. If you go to the Caribbean, San Basilio de Palenque, we can talk about the bullerengue. So all the beats are not in the same symphony. So that is a transformation to other rhythms. No, it's a fusion that is very, very common and very natural. So we're going to play something from Nariño. Well, I am trying to to try to give you the difference between those syncopes that you.
Pero lo que tocaba el GB, allá ahora en el encuentro en Senegal,
But Jimmy in Senegal,
más
he
montuado
was
con el
about to
ritmo, ¿sí me
play
entendéis?
something like that.
Porque no quieren el mestizaje de los indígenas allá en la ciudad.
Because in Africa they don't have the
Llama mucho la atención cuando se
miscegenation,
pone la marimba porque
so
ellos
that's
sienten como ese lamento, esa nostalgia, ese
so
saborcito
they feel
melancólico que tenemos acá en América.
the sorrow,
Pero
they feel the sadness and nostalgic we that come from America.
Allá ya existe porque obviamente es la matriz, es la madre del ritmo.
So in Africa, well, there's no any rhythm you cannot hear from. So they have all the rhythms, and that's something very interesting because the marimba was born there. I want to ask you something.
Oportunidad digamos, de compartir con músicos, no
Did you have the opportunity to share with the musician,
pero en este montaje yaceado de Gibi,
but in the GV, in the presentation of GV, what was
proceso de coger esta marimba,
what was the
un formato occidental, por decirlo, y lo que ellos están haciendo ahí, como las partes armónicas o como los patrones,
what was the connection you find, with those sounds, with those rhythms, and then your own sounds, your own rhythms that you have developed before going there?
Potencia del ritmo.
Well, the potency of the rhythm, how strong the rhythm is okay. Everything that you hear from Africa, it's focused on the rhythm, but it's also spiritual.
Jazz tiene unos matices muy
But it
profundos,
has,
en esencia del ritmo. O sea que hay que meterse, uno como músico foráneo de ese sistema,
as a musician that come from another country, we have to understand the strength of the rhythm in Africa.
y estábamos con el trío y se nos subieron unas mujeres a cantar y unos músicos y sentimos ese poder, ¿no?
And well, for example, we were playing, and then a group of women were, dancing, and then the sound grows up. The power of the music is so interesting.
El ritmo, que así mismo pasa si tú vas donde un maestro en el Pacífico, ahí está la dificultad. Hay unas cosas que parecen muy elementales, muy sencillas, pero son unos códigos que uno no los vive escuchando permanentemente en la música, o sea, en la industria musical, en la música comercial.
Okay, so well, the big difference is that power that has the energy of people around the music. That's something that we don't usually listen in a daily, every day, in other kind of music, commercial music, for example. So when we play this instrument, we have our brand, no, our roots. So the idea is not is not go there and take the rhythm we have in Africa, but the fusion. That's the most important. That's the. I mean,
En mi caso, de donde más puedo
well, I think that I think is the fusion is what I'm looking for.
Una anécdota bonita y era interesante cuando nos trasladábamos de un lugar a otro.
Well, when we travel from one place to another, we usually listen to Bahia group, and then Jimmy was trying to improvise, to improvise during the song. So yeah, what you're saying is so important. How can a person do that? And now that you mention, I recorded those sounds, and I hope that I can use it now. Well, and every time that we do what you're saying that we do, or what we did, it was like the same situation over and over again with him. So it was so interesting.
hay una conexión maravillosa.
So I feel very, very fortunate and to participate of the documentary. And also, I am so thankful with life, with God. I am from Wapi, so that's very important. I went to Africa. Um, I had the opportunity to be close to my teachers in the Pacific. And I think it's a blessing to be in that journey, to start in that journey, to have the connection with those people without speaking their language, no? So it's an everlasting connection.
Me sorprendía porque Hugo a veces hablaba en español con ellos.
I was surprised how Hugo speaks Spanish with African people, and they understand. I mean, they understand. They answer, and they got the idea. So I think the journey to Africa is so special.
Más o menos, digamos,
Was so special.
del Dakar, pues, ya mucho polvo y eso.
So we went to Dakar, and there was a percussion group. It was an amazing percussion group.
Entonces le digo,
So I tell Hugo, why don't you, explain a little bit of what the bambuco viejo in our country is? So
yo pensé pues que iba a pasar una cosa así y ellos iban a preguntar.
so I thought they were going to be asked, or they were going to ask, about the curiosity. But what they did was participate into the presentation, into the sample of the song Hugo was playing. So if we go back to Africa, the story, the history of Africa, jungle, slavery, surviving, mines, plantation, hunger, cold. When you have the opportunity to play music, you are not going to have the result of the European music with those kind of aesthetic or artistic or melody. No. Here we have the connection, the fusion, the spiritual connection, the spiritual fusion, the longing for the past. So we can make the connection, we can do the connection from the human part. So the moment we play music, the moment we create music, so it's the way people create music can go deeper and can go further. So it's a scream of longing for freedom. It's a cry, that's that's the origin, the cry. Well, with the time you can give, or every region can give to that cry, and its own characteristic of the place. But I insist, we have a matrix now, we have a base. So because that was who led the connection, So it's like and I think that Jimmy, feels like a song that go away and went back. So what we have in America is so interesting for them. I mean, it's an impression they have from us. So it's perfect for the encounter between Africa, America, Central America, South America, North America. So those possibilities can be possible with those experiences. Marino, what's your connection with the Viaje a la Marimba, with the journey to the Marimba? Well, we're talking about connections, so I thought about that. It's interesting, that connection, the word connection. Well, because why New York? No, for example, because we didn't consider New York at the beginning. But anyway, I think that when we have this family through work, um, wonderful things happen. You know, the interaction between us. So it's like amazing because we got a lot of information from those people, you know, and then we met an African guy, and then we start, you know, making connections. And then we went to New York, and then he was playing vibrafono in Harlem Stream and also the marimba. And he is married with a guapireña woman from Guapi. So, and we realized, you know, that we have connections because of the geography and last names. And well, when we start a journey, it's not only what we planned, no? We find many other feelings, and those feelings that are combined with music, like jazz, you know, those origins of the slavery that connect us with a lot of, and then we met a woman, you know, that went to Guinea to search for information about the origin of some kind of music also. So, so we were in the wrong place, but no. So those kind of things, those kind of connections are not necessary connections that we just draw and follow. It is also a journey that can be, you know, taken, that can be the taken, or something like that. But there's some a sequence that I love. Eh, in that sequence with Hugo, you know, playing with musicians that had another perspective, but they encountered themselves because of music. So the brain exploded because that's amazing. Then in Mexico, the journey is totally different, but well, thank you very much.
De acuerdo a eso, uno de ideas de la producción, ¿cómo se vuelve ese proceso investigativo?
Well, now
Lo que decía Marino, no es como
it's not a line, it's not a straight line. So it has, yeah. So from the producer, what's the point? Well, from production, it's totally a plan. We need to search the places. We need to see what those places are in common. Who we are going to speak about. So the production has that role, that objective, to make the project run. No, for me the project is successful because all of those connections were possible. The musical connections, artistic connection. So when we achieve that, is so interesting. So we plan, no? When we go to Mexico, we have to Google everything about Mexico and what kind of music. Marino is an excellent director. He's an excellent researcher. So he just not, you know, listen to people's, but also research what people say. So we always see what are the musicians that are now on, what are the connections they have. So we travel before, from the production, we travel before. Before we get on the plane, we have already there. So those details are very important. And thinking about that perception from the camera, what do you do with those characters? what do you do with those colors of the characters when you go to different locations now with different places? Well, of course, it changes the people, physical appearance, but we are used to go to every place, and we also put a mask, you know, or not a mask, but to play a role, you know, or to be part of the society immediately, you know, like going to the grocery or something like that. So when we went to Dakar, we hadn't eaten before, but and immediately we went to, you know, with Carolina to get some food, of course. And then we found a caldo de costilla. So it's like a rib soup. And oh my gosh. So, and then we were surprised because it was a caldo de costilla. I mean, typical from Colombia. So we were about to be like surprised by the opposite, but no. So we were part of the community. We were invited to drink tea. So in my case, that helps me a lot to know exactly where my camera is going to shot. So it is also important, the director's opinion. He told me exactly what he wanted. So it happens because of the interaction, of course. We speak to every person in the street. We just, you know, interact. So it's the same as the music. You go to a place and you immediately connect. It happened to me a lot. In Angola, for example, the first time I went, so I was playing my marimba, and another guy was, you know, like organizing or setting, and then we had realized that we were in the same tone, and then we look each other and we were crying. So we got that connection, and we didn't know, because we didn't know each other, and then we didn't have, you know, anything to say about it, but we were crying. So that's what music does. What is the balaphonic and why that called your attention? El balafón, according to Jivik, it was not built by man. So when the man found that, I mean, it was in the Mali kingdom or something like that. So the king and the king received that made, no? We didn't have any documentation about the invention of the instrument. So, for example, in the case of marimba, was invented by Marimbo. It was in Senegal. They say that the balafon was already made. Sorry. And the difference between the balafón and the marimba, the resonadores, instead of canutos, de la marimba de chonta, they are made of guadua. So, I don't remember the name of the wood, but well, the sound is shiner, is brighter, is almost like when you hit the metal. So sometimes they use spider webs to produce a vibration. No? So if you listen to the balafones, they sound like string. They are made of plastic now. I know that the system was inherited by the Central America marimba. And the marimba de chonta from the Pacific is a sweeter sound. it's a little, yeah, it is
Y el balafón,
influenced by the water because it's the
el
environment.
balafón es normalmente
The balafon,
la tradición tradicional ancestral
there are a lot of kinds of balafones, no? Like here.
temperados de
Um,
y balafones temperados cromáticos, que ya como el grupo de GB, que ya tiene un grupo de jazz, un team dentro de jazz, en el cual ya tiene que tocar, ser acompañados con piano, bajo, guitarra, ya tiene que ser.
but in a group of jazz, the balafon has to be a little bit better
Pero el sistema
than the traditional, no?
para mí,
But the
inclusive,
system of percussion of the balafon is the same.
marimba se dice en Angola, en el resto de África se dice balafón.
Okay, marimba is the name in Angola, but the rest of the Africa is balafon.
Balafón allá es macho, es
The balafon is, it has a male gender.
de todos los teclados.
So the balafon, they say that is the father of all the keyboard. So it's the father of the clavicornio, del órgano del piano. So that is the keyboard, the balafon africano.
Entonces, bueno, también hay una mística impresionante.
Well, there's a mystic around it, to build it, to play it, to teach it. So there are a lot of secrets, a lot of taboos, no? Well, like here, but that still had that connotation, the mystic thing.
Carolina, ¿cómo se vuelve ese
Carolina,
recorrido de trabajo
so
a
how
los 3 continentes? ¿Cuáles son esas etapas?
does that trip and become the way a person live, no?
Que está conectada
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are connected, that are,
cuando vamos a hacer una peli, un
well, when you're about
varios equipos
to make a film, we have a lot of teams.
para el diseño,
So we have the production team who is in charge of the design,
de revisar qué es todo lo que tenemos que hacer
to check what is,
para poder hacer esa
I mean, what is the mass we need to the pizza. So if we need a cameraman, if we got a,
hacer 3 o 4 viajes, cuáles son las
if we need to make, if we need to travel a lot, the money involved in that, if they are international trips, what are the documentation, legal documentation. So we start doing that process long before we start with the recording of the film. So we have to, that's it. The money that we have, so is the result of the process of investigation. So it's kind of logistic. So we start also to check, to review the way we make it. We made a map. We did a map. We
qué lugares y qué vamos a necesitar en cada lugar.
and what are the so we do a map of the places we. So how did you do okay, you were in pandemia, no? So
Fue algo muy
the pandemia was kind of interesting because we have to take care of our team. We have to take care of the people you are going to visit too. So in pandemia, we try to follow all the recommendations. We try to go to the doctor often, face masks. We try to go to open locations.
tranquilamente, que el invitado se pudiera quitar el tapabocas, a veces hay que restringir el número de personas que fueran.
So yeah, with the number of people was limited. The number of people was limited. We always looked for security, no, or for safeness of the people who we are going to visit, or we were going to visit.
Porque cada vez que salían vacunas, bueno, vamos a viajar.
Well, the stuff with the vaccines was a little bit like very serious, no? We try to follow the recommendation about the vaccine, the COVID tests. Well,
Nos ha tocado así,
so we had to do it like that.
nos ha tocado y no fue en este proyecto, pero fue un proyecto donde íbamos a grabar a las 8 de la mañana.
So, for example, there was a project in which we were going to record at 8 p.m., 8 a.m. So one of the directors cold, in sick, so we had to cancel because he got COVID. So yeah, we had to take care of
¿Qué es lo que pasa en ese momento?
of
Marino,
all
¿cuál es el
people.
proceso y cuál es la
Marino, what is the
presencia de la
process
marimba en México?
in the presence of the
Bueno,
marimba in
En
Mexico?
México, digamos que a mí me llama la
Well, in
atención el
Mexico,
proceso cuando uno se enfrenta al instrumento y ve que pues, morfológicamente es tan distinto al
well,
instrumento que
when we see the
conocemos
instruments in
pues, en
Mexico,
nuestra tierra, pues,
the
muestran
instrument is a little
cambios,
bit different,
como
physically
decía Hugo,
speaking.
la
So
calidad, es decir, las características sonoras de ese
the
instrumento que
characteristics of that
suena con esa
instrument
membrana que tiene,
and
suena
that sounds like a membrane, like a metal.
como cuando algo está dañado, una aleación, que está dañado.
Okay, like
Entonces,
a.
el primer sonido
So
es
the
extraño.
first sound is strange. The first sounds of the
Me parece muy interesante
Mexican marimba is strange.
que básicamente ese sonido en últimas tiene que ver, pues bueno, con el mestizaje cultural de
So,
México,
but
es
the
una
result
zona
of that is
digamos
because
que
of the
geográficamente
miscegenation
un
and
territorio maya, o sea, que es un territorio compartido con Guatemala y que es una zona en donde cerca pues a
so
guerreros,
we went to a
desterrados
place
de esa zona, que
near
es pues donde
Guatemala
quedaron esclavizados
and
y por ahí arrancó la cosa.
there we
El tema
started
es
there.
que esa marimba
So that marimba
rápidamente, digo yo,
quickly.
se metió en el circuito popular de las músicas populares que estaban lejos de esas costas.
So the marimba quickly got into the pop music, popular music.
De esclavizados o pues o descendencia también, pero cuando ya empezó a circular rápidamente, yo digo es como si la marimba del Pacífico en el siglo pasado, mitad del siglo pasado, se hubiera integrado no sé, al vallenato o a la cumbia.
Well, I think that an example for that is like if the marimba Pacific from Pacific fusioned itself with vallenato, for example. So in Mexico and in Guatemala, it happened like that. Uh, uh, that mixture, and then it's not related to the ethnic or to the origins of that, but it's also because of the fusion. I mean, the fusion is what makes that interesting.
Digamos, de la calle, pues, o de la radio, etcétera, todo eso. Entonces, el camino es distinto. Ese sonido y esa
So definitely the journey is so different there.
nuestra marimba, pues, bueno,
Our marimba, I think I feel
Petronio Álvarez
because of the festival, the Petronio Festival, I don't know. I think that through the festival, Petronio Festival, we got so much from the marimba. But the process there is to feel the marimba in a wide scenario, unusual scenario, you know. But it's funny because we.
grupos de allá de Israel y otro grupo en Tonalá interpretaran la música de Hugo.
But yeah, I mean, other groups from other countries played, you know, Hugo's songs. That was so good.
Nuestro personaje de allá, entonces, o sea, pues digamos,
Anyway, Hugo had met the guy before also, but that trip was historic.
Este momento que hemos estado hablando
Well,
de preguntas, usted ha dicho como esa experiencia y lo que ha significado para usted, pero si yo le preguntara cuál es ese otro efecto transformador que tuvo este viaje de la marimba
well,
para usted, ¿cuál sería?
talk to me about something very special from that trip. What did that trip change in you?
De los detalles, como dice Andrea, o sea, de esos
More or beyond the details. As a musician, we collect beyond those sounds. So beyond that radar,
ahí uno se está nutriendo permanentemente.
we
Creo que
also
ir a África siempre y en esta oportunidad y en torno específicamente a la marimba, se nutre uno
going to Africa. It's to get spiritual food, no? So I think that I came back as a grown man, and it's very difficult to express that with words. but that's what Africa produce and produces, or that's what Africa, that's the impact of Africa. We are so concerned about the reality of that. But anyway, the perspective we have, of Africa is that the poverty, but also we have that the perception that it is gonna grow so much as a country. I'm talking about the music, of course. When we went to the Gore, an island, it was a strong experience because it was like the way or the point they were sent to slavery. So it was so strong. I felt that pain. I felt how difficult, how hard it was that moment. But anyway, but at the same time, I felt a different. I felt my spirit different, and I feel that I'm full of new things, of new experiences. That's my experience, my personal experience from being in Africa, and also obviously the interaction with people. I was so sick, I was, but we went to a market, and they gave me something that helped me to cure, like immediately. So they gave me something, and I just flew.
Que hay una sabiduría ancestral también allí en la hierbita, en la cosita.
And that's why we know about the herbs, the importance of the herbs. We go to these ladies, matronas, we say that in Spanish. So we always feel so much. And every time I am in Africa, I feel like I'm in with my mother.
Transformador, no solamente desde el lente, sino también desde eso personal que tuvo este documental.
Well, what about you, Andres? What was that experience that changed you?
También es un poco lo que dice Hugo, ¿no?
Well, I agree with Hugo. It's being more mature. It's to see life in a different way. Recognize, yeah, as a son, as we think it's our mother. No, Africa is our mother. So we go there, and that's an immediate connection. It's an immediate connection with a place that we have never been, and I have never planned. But I realized that journey to Africa. I think that all the trips were so good, but in Africa, you can transform yourself. So it has a spiritual stuff, and it's a place I never imagined go so quickly. So the connection with other human beings, with other beings, other living beings, is so important when you are far away from your country. So you understand life in a different way.
Sí, es un poco de madurez quizás, no sé, pero sí uno ve la vida como
But we can see life, yeah, we can live life with dignity. Anyway, every trip was amazing. I wanted to say something about the instrument. I feel that when I met the marimba from Chiapas and the balafon, and also listen to the marimba de Chonta, of course, with all the respect of the balafon, but I feel the marimba has an essence and is sweet And from all the instruments, from all the varieties of marimba I knew, I think that the marimba de chonta is the best. I think it's the best result of the marimbas.
De mexicana es lo que vos decías ahora, el primer
I think the marimba mexicana is the first contact is strange. It's strange. Your ears doesn't believe what you're listening. But with the marimba de chonta, you can feel different.
Recuerdo en barbacoas,
And I think that because I remember in barbacoas, Pacifico,
pero entonces siente uno que esa marimba
so
tiene como esa
we
persona.
feel that the marimba has a personality from the Pacifico, a little bit naive, a little bit clean. Um,
Pero de barbacoas,
so that marimba looks like a El Loco, a character from Barbacoas. We feel that the marimba has soul. Yeah, it has a brand, but it goes beyond a brand. So I think that the marimba defines us, people from the Pacific.
Un chef hablando de la comida del Pacífico. Es un tapadito es sencillo. Pescadito, plátano.
Well, the comparison I do is with the food. You know, we think that the tapadito, a typical food from the Pacifico, is simple, but when you eat it, it goes like where it has to go. So,
Como decimos, pero cuando suena la música es contundente.
and I think the same with the marimba. When you play this instrument, goes exactly where it is, where it has to go. So yeah.
Qué rico. Todo lo que uno hace siempre tiene repercusión en lo personal, Marino. Así que yo quiero que nos digas cuál es ese efecto transformador, pero no quiero que me lo diga el Marino, el director, sino Marino, el ser humano.
Well, I want an opinion from Marino, the perception you have as a person, not as a director.
Tortuoso del montaje, escucha y vuelve, uno escucha y vuelve aquí, y vuelve. Bueno, toda esa discusión que hay como
Well, when you build a project, there's a lot of things that you can see, that you can.
gente de Cali que es Pola. Pola es una mujer
So I'm in love with a character from the Chocó, went to Buenaventura, and then is in Cali.
no, sí, no, por muchas circunstancias, pero también de Buenaventura vino a Cali.
So she came from Buenaventura to Cali, and in that process,
Usados de su zona, pero en el oriente de Cali también como, y estos de
in that.
estos son violentos, estos son de Buenaventura.
So when people from Buenaventura come to Cali, well, they have a perception, but Pola,
Nuestro Cali es unos niños asesinados hace como 4 años, y eso lo convirtió en música.
Pola
Lo convirtió en música, claro,
creates music out of a assassination, and
una lideresa de
but she's a leader.
que se abre camino entre
She always tries to,
fue cuando mataron a
well,
y Milad, ¿cuál fue el anterior? No, pues cuando habían matado al otro, toda esa
she's surrounded of death all the time, and she makes music out of that. So
sabe nuestros
I feel like that we were living the same story, you know, or the same history of the slaveries, you know, like.
la reflexión que uno hace como una persona madura es sobre
So the reflection as a person,
somos una cosa
we think, or my conclusion is that we are a complex system, of humans. We think it's too much. But anyway, the responsible we have toward
Podemos irnos
that future is amazing.
efecto transformador y eso significativo que te da.
Well, but what
Pues mira, para
transform you,
para mí el resumen sería
Carolina? Well, the summary is to get the flow. So, if something I have learned from the marimba is to adapt things, receive things as the way they are, and then keep moving. So I associate that with the water, with the river, with the sea, every place we go, and every time we go, the marimba was always near a river, near the sea. So I think that water, the sound, the marimba that makes me feel in rivers, in waters. So I think that the project, as the rivers, finds its way, itself. So strong, obviously. This project has overcome obstacles. So for me, that is like that. Marina, when are we going to watch this documentary? Well, next year. We are starting this.
Muchas gracias, Andrés.
Thank
Muchas
you,
gracias, Caro. Muchas
Hugo.
gracias,
Thank you,
Marino.
Andres.
Muchas
Thank
gracias,
you, Marino. Thank you,
los
Caro.
músicos aquí,
Thanks the
muchas gracias
musicians. Thanks to the
muchas
musicians.
gracias.
A nuestro equipo del canal que nos ayuda, al equipo técnico, muchísimas gracias también, a los camarógrafos, a los sonoristas, a todos.
A todo ese equipo técnico que hace posible que estemos
Thanks
aquí.
to
A ustedes,
everybody.
gracias por haber estado conectados en
Thank
este
you
conversatorio
very
para
much
hablar
for
de
being
este
here.
viaje de la marimba, para hablar de esta identidad, de este destino y de esta libertad, y que estaremos muy pendientes el próximo año, Marino, para vernos este viaje de la marimba.
Claro que sí.
Damn. Oh, por favor. Desconéctenme.